James. I am 27 years old and I'm from the US. Lived there for most of my life, and then now I'm currently living in Albania.
My name is Martin, I'm 28, I'm from Bulgaria, and I'm currently living in Germany, and to be more exact, Nuremberg.
My name's Cameron, I'm 24, from Brighton in England, and now living in Valencia, Spain.
And this is the Expat Show.
Hello and welcome back, guys, to the Expat Show. My name is Cameron Clark, and as always I'm joined with James and Martin. How are you both doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Cameron?
I'm not too bad. It's finally cooling down a little bit here in Spain, so this time I'm not looking like I've just got out of the shower. It's getting bearable. It's nice.
I feel like you've talked about the heat every single episode so far, so like it's like another co-host on this podcast.
Exactly right. I mean, when it's so intense, you can't really ignore it, you know.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And Martin, how about yourself?
I do have constant heat here in the apartment, so even though I'm wearing a sweatshirt right now, it's pretty warm. I can say I'm doing pretty well for a Saturday morning. Just so the viewers know, we're recording on a Saturday morning for you guys after a really long work week.
Yes. Yeah. My work week wasn't too bad. I was quite fortunate enough to actually been doing something I enjoy and filming at my work, so that was quite nice. And I think with the weather as well here in Spain, sometimes I do regret being here because it is so hot all of the time, and sometimes I consider is the heat a factor why I wouldn't want to be an expat here in Spain, which is actually what the topic of this week is. Reasons why not to be an expat is what we're going to be talking about.
Cameron, your segues are impeccable. They're incredible. That's amazing. How do you do that?
I can sell ice to an Eskimo, James. As we say in the UK, I've got the gift of the gab. You know, talk about anything and link it to
gift of the gab.
Yes.
That was wow. I'm impressed every single time. I can't wait to hear what other segues you use to introduce our topic.
Well, thank you. Have you guys got any preludes, any little stories onto why you wouldn't want to be an expat? I mean, for me, it's the heat. I do have another story that I can talk about later. But what about yourselves?
Well, I wouldn't say like directly an expat, but maybe an expat in Germany to be more concrete. And I know that I haven't experienced it that much, but like there is still a lot of nationalistic approach here in Germany, and just because I look a little bit like German people tend not to focus so much on me. But recently I watched this interview with people from mainly from Africa. They were talking about their experiences here in Germany, and it's crazy. I mean, they do tend to stand out in the crowd, so they attract all the crazy nationalistic folks.
I can imagine. What about you?
It's funny being here, and I mean, maybe it's a Balkan-wide thing, but especially here in Albania, they just stare. People stare a lot. And I blend in enough, if I'm not carrying around my giant camera, I blend in enough that I don't get as many stares anymore.
Okay, that's
but when I'm with some
interesting.
of my...
I would say that in Germany they stare more than on the Balkans, because on the Balkans, as soon as you look at the person, he tries to look away. Here in Germany, they don't care. They continue staring at you.
Okay, that's fair.
Lock the gaze.
Yeah.
They take it like a personal challenge or something.
You're like challenging them to a fight, so you're just gonna stare them down. That's funny.
I think there was one woman here in Spain the other day that wishes I wasn't here. So I was on the metro again. I know, but like the metro, sometimes for no reason it just stops abruptly in the middle of the tracks, like underneath the tunnel, and it sort of jolts the carriage, and it was quite busy that day. I was holding on, but where it stopped and jolted as my sort of foot lifted, and then I actually trod on some woman's toe. I felt so bad because she would like let out a very loud, audible scream of pain, like ah, and I was like, oh my god. Everyone on the train started looking at me. It's like, oh god, there's that foreign guy treading on people's toes again. Get out of here, you know. And it's just like, I just
They all know that you're the foreign guy.
yeah, it's just like, oh, typical foreign person treading on people's toes. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's what
st-
happens
still
in
better
all-
than in Germany, bro. Like here, they have like the typical foreign person that's pushing people in front of trains.
Mm.
This is actually a really
Wait, what?
growing topic recently. A lot of
Yeah,
cases that some crazy foreigner pushed a German in front of a train.
Yeah, I think I read that as well, and there was another one where there was a guy that pushed the young child in front of the train as well. It's I don't know if it's some,
Yeah.
like one of those crazy internet trends or something, but yeah, it's been quite.
No,
big
it's
in
actually
the news.
it's true that they said that the guy was like mental or something.
You guys in Europe need to chill out. Settle down. Come down to the Balkans.
Yes, it looks very peaceful.
We just get pushed in front of donkeys and horses, not trains.
Oh dear. On those
Donkey.
cobble road, I'm sure on those cobble roads that we were talking about last week as well, they do come at you with some force. I can imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh dear, very good.
I think one of the big reasons that people would refrain from wanting to be an expat is often just like separation from family or close friends.
Yeah, I definitely get that feeling myself sometimes, especially with my friends back in the UK. And I appreciate they're busy people, they got family and houses and things like that, but sometimes where I'm not with them, like you almost forget to message each other every now and then, you sort of lose in touch a little bit, and I feel some relationships back in the UK are suffering because of me living here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have friends from high school, so 9-10 years ago, that I haven't talked to in, I don't know, 3-4 years. But like if I'm around them, if I go back to that town that I grew up in, like they'll say hi and we'll hang out, we'll have dinner or whatever, get a coffee. Well, they'll drink coffee. Or I mean, and that happens, and I mean, I have no idea if they like see anything that I do social media wise. I don't know if they see any videos that I post. I think one of them, at least one of them, actually listens to podcasts that I'm on or whatever, and so. But it's still just this strange thing where it's just like if I'm not around the people, then I often just like I forget to message. And then having such a massive time difference. I mean, my friends in Hawaii, it's a 12-hour time difference. So when I try to message somebody, I message them in the morning or at night, and it's in the morning for them. So if they respond, I'm asleep, and then I wake up to their message, and I respond, and they're asleep. And
So there's always that delay. There's never that real flow of the conversation for you. It's always just
right, exactly.
Yeah, personally, I don't suffer from this. It's like just 1 hour difference between here and Bulgaria.
Right.
In every aspect, like 1 hour in time, and also I need like an hour and 20 minutes to go there by plane.
Yeah, so it's not far at all. But how do you feel, Martin, when you're like physically located away from your friends and your family? Like, do you miss them at all when you're there in Germany and they're back at home?
So the first year I was here in Germany, it was a bit tough because I was like completely alone. But after a while, like my wife moved here and my parents moved here, so it definitely got better. To be fair, I almost have nothing left back home, so just a couple of friends and a couple of relatives, and that's it.
Okay. So for yourself, it's not so much the family that would give you a reason as to not want to be an expat. But what have you had that like makes you sort of not want to be there in Germany?
Oof, we're going on a dark path here. I mean, maybe my biggest problem was with work here in Germany.
Yeah.
Like they don't take any advice, even if it's not just like something that you randomly popped out in your head. It's based on experience, working for companies that are their competitors, for example, or they just
Yeah, so it's
on a
almost
better
like
level.
industrial sort of like whaling almost, where they're like sort of poaching you from one company just to try and get you into another, depending on your experience, is what I'm understanding there.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I worked in the automotive industry back in Bulgaria for an US company. That company had like really high standards. They won projects for Mercedes and all of that, so you can imagine how good they were.
Yeah.
And for example, we have different levels of quality in this field. And for let's say that the company there kept level 3 or level 4, and here German companies are struggling to reach level 1 or 2. And they still don't accept any advice on how to be better, how to optimize processes. And even though it's an international field of work where almost everyone is required to speak English, and you can basically work without knowing a single word in German, they still require you to know German. I don't know why.
Yeah, yeah. So in Germany in particular, it sounds like you might not want to sort of go there if you're not in a specialized field where it's not in demand or you're not needed, and it seems like you also need to learn the language. For me,
Technically, everyone is in demand in Germany. There is a shortage of qualified and non-qualified people. The problem is going through HR and the hiring process because they're like stuck on certain points that are holding them back from attaining the right people for the job.
right, so it's almost like the process of it, which I can link to one of my experiences here in Spain, which I found quite frustrating at times and made me like think, why am I even here? It's just like the bureaucracy of the paperwork. Just recently, in fact, I had to get my medication to go to Madagascar, so like the hepatitis, the yellow fever, malaria tablets, and just to get the box of tablets, you have to book an appointment in like the central travel doctors almost. I don't know what it's actually called, but there wasn't any appointments here in Valencia, so I had to drive roughly 2 hours to another city just to see a doctor. I was expecting to be given the injection, be given the pills all on the same day, but all it was a 5-minute appointment just to get a prescription to go back to your own village just to get the own like the tablets as well. So it's just all this long process just to get anything done, really. It's the same when you want to, like, your residency slips or your doctor's slips, anything. It's just always back and forth, and that sometimes makes me not want to be here, just because of the bureaucracy of everything.
Yeah, I think the bureaucracy is pretty much hassle to handle in every country. That it's just because you're not used to the way they approach it.
Yeah. So I can't really imagine what like the bureaucracy of things from moving from the US would be like. Is it like a difficult process?
To move from the US or to move to Albania?
Bit of both. I mean, what was the most challenging part for you? Yeah.
See, the thing was, like, I was lucky enough that there was nothing challenging about it. I mean, to get from the US, I just, put stuff in a bag and showed them my passport and got on a plane. Like, they don't really care. They obviously care when it comes to taxes and whatnot. But as far as, like, residence, it doesn't matter. And then anything that I need a US address for, I just give my parents' address. But then getting to Albania and being able to stay here for as long as I've been able to was slightly more difficult. But because I work for an Albanian organization and people, and one that works with expats frequently, it made it much easier. So I showed up, and within a month, all the paperwork was done. I had a residence permit. Like I'd been to the embassy and all this stuff, and like did everything, and they knew the exact process. They knew what kind of paperwork. We have a legal department, and the legal department filled out most of the paperwork for me, and I just had to fill out personal information and then sign something.
Yeah.
it was all explained to me. I didn't have to bother getting it translated. Just things like that made it super simple. And then we showed up to the office in the next city over in Corcha, where we had to actually get some of this information. And we get there, and they know the people from the legal department here because they've been over there enough times.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was a piece of cake. It took, in total, it took maybe a day to get everything squared away. And that, we didn't all do it in one single day, but I could have.
Yeah.
That involved driving to the capital to go to the embassy so that I could get a background check, and then driving to the what is it called?
The criminal
county seat or whatever,
right?
Over in the next city over, where they can, actually do certain little things. But all of it could have been done in a single day had I needed it to. But it was so simple for me because I already had this whole thing set up.
Yeah.
I already knew I was working here. They already knew I was working, and I didn't have to
To be fair, this is actually one of the reasons I would not become an expat. If Bulgaria wasn't part of the European Union, the whole process of getting visas and all of that is too much for me. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, so as someone from the U.S., it makes it super, super simple and super easy to actually be able to do that.
Still, you need to do
because
extra work. I just came here with my Bulgarian ID card and registered as any other person that's living in Germany, whether German or from another EU country. Just go and say I live on this address. Bam, you're done.
You could just live there without having any job or anything?
Yes. You actually don't even need to register, I think, the first 4 months or something like that.
Okay, so it's similar to just moving to a different state in the U.S.
That's. I think I
Okay,
mentioned it
interesting.
in a previous episode. That's how I feel like just going from one state to another state in the U.S.
Right, you did mention that. I didn't realize it was that simple for EU residents.
Yeah, I think that's the end goal of the European Union is to have something similar to the U.S.
Yeah, sort of free
Without
free
one
movement.
governing. Without one governing Oompa Loompa.
So yeah, sort of free movement and things. For me, it's from moving from the UK into Spain. It was, I think, you get 180 days. It was supposed to be 3 or 6 months, where you're just allowed to be here. But after that, you have to be registered on the Padron, which is the local town office, register just so they can say actually you're living in this town or city. But yeah, all the process for me is probably just the Spain thing. It's just the bureaucracy, and I'm sure for some people it definitely would put them off moving here. And if that puts them off moving here, maybe they only wanted to move to Spain, but yeah, they didn't want to do it, so they wouldn't.
And
want
Cameron,
to be
you
an expat
mentioned
because of that.
that you didn't speak that good of Spanish. Do they speak English in those departments where you have to take care of the documentation?
Very, very rarely. I have yet to meet one myself, but I have heard rumours that they exist. I think it's the myth of the leprechaun, you hear about them, but if you actually see them is another thing. But yeah, so I was quite lucky where I had my partner and her family that speak English, so they would come along with me to these appointments and basically help me communicate with the government worker to get those things. But if I didn't have that support from my partner and her family, it definitely would have been a lot harder process, and I don't think I would have been able to do it myself without them. So I think it does deter a lot of people, and I don't know if they do that to deter people or it's just how the bureaucracy works here in Spain.
I think it's just a Spanish thing. At least
the
from my
mentality
from my short experience in Spain.
Yeah, it's almost like they have the mentality here of mañana, which means tomorrow. So everyone's thinking mañana, and sometimes it's just oh, come on, just get it done already, So,
Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah. So I think we've talked a good amount about the bureaucracy, the paperwork of things.
I just want
which-
to add something here. Like, if I
Go
was
ahead.
supposed to, like, go through the whole visa process for Germany, how depressing this would have been. Because, for example, I would have to visit the aliens office here in Nuremberg, which is actually situated in ex-SS barracks. So imagine the situation: just arriving in Germany and directly being put into an ex-Nazi building.
Yeah, it can be a bit daunting, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could have done a better job by picking a better place for this office.
Yeah, it definitely sounds it. I mean,
It's good that they're
Yeah.
repurposing it, but still, it's not really appropriate because right now you see like loads of African people just lining up in front of an SS barracks.
yeah. So the image it portrays isn't very good, and yeah, I don't know if again that would be something that they're doing on purpose to deter the people and make them not want to move there. I don't know. I don't know how all these.
I mean, you have to. You have buildings. You have to use them.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know?
One thing I've learned here in Germany is that like Germans don't think about consequences. Like they just try to solve problems at the moment, so it's okay at the moment. They don't think if this is gonna have a bad impact in the future. So I pretty much I think this is how it went down. They said, okay, we need a building. We have a free building. We're gonna use it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. So all of the paperwork aside and getting into the countries, which can be a big factor if people want to become an expat in a certain country or not, what sort of other things are you thinking that could be a deterrent for you, or you were sort of like thinking, is being an expat a really good idea? We talked about a little bit about the family and the friends. For the work maybe as well could be something that's a bit difficult. I mean, I think with me and James, we're quite fortunate. We're working in companies where they're English speaking. They work with a lot of expats, not most of the time, and yeah, we got very lucky in finding those companies. I think if the particular company I'm working with wasn't here, I don't think I would have found a job yet or been able to stay here. So I think that is like a big reason why some people wouldn't want to become an expat, particularly because I don't speak Spanish. It was a lot harder for me. I mean, the only sort of job I might have been able to find was been in the service industry, like cleaning pots or plates.
No, still it's hard. When I was a student in Spain, I tried looking for a job because I wanted to stay in Spain, and I couldn't even get like a cleaning job because I didn't know Spanish.
Yeah. So the language, then, I would say, is one reason why someone wouldn't want to become an expat. I mean, here in Spain, it's like maybe I would say half and half of the people speak English. Like you meet a lot of English speakers, but some of them or a lot of them don't speak any English at all. So if you don't know that language, it's very hard to communicate, which can be difficult at times. How is it in Albania? I think that they learn it at school, don't they? English is a second language.
They do, but that doesn't necessarily mean much. Let me correct that. They're taught it at school. I don't know if they learn it at school. A lot of them will know some English, especially younger ages, my age or younger. Anyone who's, is in school under communism or whatever, not anyone, but they're less likely to know English. So most of the older generations don't really. I mean, my landlord doesn't speak any English, but then I think they're her grandchildren that are running back and forth, like speak enough that they'll say hi to me. Or when I'm biking through the streets, little kids are playing soccer and they'll ask me what my name is or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's about all the English that they can that they know and that they can understand. And then in the capital city, obviously, it's much better. So you go to the bigger cities, people know more English. You go to the villages, people know less English. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if I didn't have this job lined up before I came here, would I have come here? And I mean, I think I would have. but
Would-
it would have been much more difficult. I would have, yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been much more difficult because I wouldn't know the language. I would not have. It would be harder for me to get a residence permit. And yeah, I mean that's about like it's just.
Yeah.
It would have taken longer for me to get things together.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going
Yeah.
alone, I think this is like a general rule of thumb
But,
for expats
I mean,
that you
I-
have to have a job.
Definitely, unless you found something that you can work on online to do at any time, and you can work anywhere in the world. Definitely, I think you would need a job, and I definitely think it would be something that people would get like not want to be an expat because maybe they don't know that language, maybe they don't have the ability to find the jobs, and it just for them it might just be like, okay, I'm not going to move. So yeah, it would have been the case for me. I would have had to move back if I didn't find the job. But yeah, I mean, we're not trying to be all doom and gloom in this episode. I mean, being an expat is fantastic, but there are the struggles as well.
Yeah, just trying to keep it realistic, not so we
Yeah.
don't stick only to the positive sides, so we also can show the negative sides. I think it's like 50-50. That's the realistic separation between plus and minuses.
For me, I think it would be more like 70-30, but that explains why I live in a different country. That explains why I'm an expat.
Yeah, I would agree with James. I mean, I've definitely got a lot more positives about being an expat than not being an expat.
Yeah, I think maybe it comes to the fact from where you come from. So, for example, when I was living in Bulgaria, it was more like 30-70 in the negative aspect, so it's still an upgrade for me.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if
Yeah,
it was
so it's-
50-50 for me, if it was even, then I wouldn't live here. You know, I would just go back to the U.S. because
What's
there
the
are
point
plenty
in
of
being
reasons.
not
Yeah, exactly. There are
satisfied?
plenty of reasons to go back. But if I'm going to be just as dissatisfied here as I was there, I might as well be doing it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Just going back to the language quickly. I know a lot of us we have the Spanish, the Albanian, the German. Would you feel if for people that don't know the language that the country they're trying to move to, and they don't have the job or support, or they don't know the people there already, if they didn't know that language, I think it would be a big deterrent from not being there, because I don't know much Spanish at all, if I was here on my own, life would be so much more difficult, and I don't think I would have, if I didn't have the support of my partner with me, I don't think I would have made the jump to even consider moving overseas where I didn't even know the language. I'd never thought to learn the language before.
Yeah, well, I would say that in Germany, it's like from all the non-native English-speaking countries in the world, I guess. Okay, maybe I cannot say for the entire world, but at least for Europe and Western Europe, it's like the go-to place. If you don't know a language, you can still get around with English. Like a lot of people know it. The goal here is to make them talk in English because they just refuse to talk in English.
Right. Yeah. My experience of being in Germany is, unless I knew the people already, even like the Germans didn't want to speak English to me.
Yeah, here is a pro tip on Germans, how to handle them. Learn how to say in German, "My German isn't good, can we speak in English?" This helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a very good phrase to know in Spanish as well. No hablo español. I don't speak Spanish. It's a good little one to get you through. Yeah, I've only ever been to Germany once, but it was almost like I was living or visiting America, because I was on the American Air Base Ramstein, but they've got things like the Taco Bell, all of the American fast food chains all there, all of the residents in the air base dealt with dollars, so it definitely felt like I was more in America than in Germany.
When were you there?
That was probably back in 2010, 2011.
Okay.
I'd say.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in the Air Cadets for a few years in the UK. It was one of the international trips where we got to see the air base, like got to see the aircraft and do some range shooting and stuff.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
that
I think I
could be
have.
a story for
I think I
another
know
day.
2 people that spent some of their growing up years at Ramstein, which is interesting. Like a guy that I went to high school with, and then a guy I know from college. But that's why I asked. But you wouldn't have overlapped at all. So anyway,
Yeah, yeah. I think that sort of links to something called the 6 degrees of separation, almost.
yeah, we've talked about this.
Yeah. Yeah, linking back to that. But yeah, so I think what we're with reasons not to be an expat, I think we're sort of leaning more on the actual entry side of getting into the country, missing your family, missing your friends. If you don't have a job,
it
it
is
can
a
be
bit
very
lonely.
difficult.
Well, okay, let's
Definitely.
look at it this way. Now that we've all lived in as expats for a decent amount of time, and we've gone through all of that stuff, and we're living all of that stuff, like I've been through the bureaucracy. I have the residence permit. I understand there's a language, but I know enough of the language that I can communicate, that sort of stuff. Do we have any other, do we right now have any reasons that we don't, that we wouldn't want to be an expat anymore? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I would say no, honestly. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, there are the negatives, but everything else, like just the quality of life, there's like the people, the culture, everything outweighs the negatives, So I definitely want to stay an expat, and for people that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean,
on it.
we're still, all 3 of us are still expats, so definitely the positives outweigh the negatives.
Right.
But one thing I'm really struggling with is finding a job that I like here.
A job that you like, or a job that you can do?
A job that I like.
Okay.
I can do the job. The problem is finding the place where I enjoy the project, I enjoy the people.
Right. Of course.
What about you, James? I mean, you've been there for quite some time now. I mean, you must like it. So, is there anything on your?
I have no plans to leave. I mean, at this point, I don't really have any plans to leave for a visit back to the U.S. So there are downsides of living here, but they're not basically I would give people these warnings, if you don't have a job, it's going to be difficult to get a residence permit, or it might be difficult to get a job at the beginning, or the language
If you don't
barrier.
know the language.
Yeah, but then these sorts of things, it's like, okay, but after you get over those humps, it's not any different than living anywhere else, to me. I mean, it's slightly different because culture is different, but ultimately, positives and negatives aren't going to be, or negatives aren't going to be that much different than I mean, there are negatives oh man, it's hard to find this certain thing, or I can't get this kind of food or whatever. But those aren't reasons not to live in this country, at least not for me. I know some people that they might be, but
Yeah, people like their Twinkies too much, I'm sure, and their Pop-Tarts. No.
they're Pop-Tarts, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe if you're that addicted to sugary foods and corporate meals, you might not want to become an expat. But I mean,
Or visit Germany. I've gained 7 kilograms since I'm in Germany from all the sweets.
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I eat a lot here in Spain, but I think again I'm coming back to the heat where it's so hot. I just sweat all of the way out of me. So
Yeah. You're losing all your water weight.
God, I miss
Yeah.
the heat. Cameron, can we switch places or something?
Oh.
2 days ago it was 7 degrees in Germany.
What?
Two days ago here it was 45. So yeah, let's swap. It was too hot for me to bear.
It was 30 something, 33 or 34 here, but I'm not complaining. I mean, it was warm, but I like it warm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too. So if you don't like the heat, don't move to Spain. Is what
Yeah.
I would say. That's why you wouldn't want to be an expat, because it's too damn hot here.
Well, and there could be the alternative to that. I mean, if you don't like the cold, you're not going to want to live in Siberia or Germany, it sounds like.
Yeah, 7 degrees in August. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the weather was pretty much crazy the past 2 weeks. One day we have 30 degrees, the next one 7, then again 30, then again 7.
Yep.
That is pretty crazy. So,
Yeah, I think that I can actually see in the past 3 years how the climate changes here in Germany. Like last year was, I think, the year with the least amount of rain since officially there were records in Germany. So when I came to Germany at first, it was so green and nice and beautiful. And last summer, everything was like completely dead. We have a big garden behind my building, and it was completely dead.
And I definitely have some stories on the climate and how it affects things here in Spain, but I think we can keep that topic in our back pockets for another episode, as we are drawing to a close on this week's episode as to why not to be an expat. So we touched again on the things like it's your friends, it's family, possibly the language barrier, things like that. So yeah,
Work as well.
Work as well. But yeah, as we were just saying, I mean, being an expat is definitely amazing thing, definitely something that you should do, and these hurdles that you might encounter, definitely don't let them stop you doing what you want to do, living in that other country, because it 100% is worth it. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you said it better than I would have. That's exactly what I was gearing up to say at the end of this episode. So
yeah.
That is why Cameron is making these announcements.
Yeah, that's why Cameron's the moderator for this. Yeah, for sure. And that nice soothing British accent too.
Yes. Next week I will bring a cup of tea and some biscuits while we discuss X topic.
That would be.
But yeah.
I thought you were gonna say like the Queen or something.
Yeah, we'll bring the Queen on our podcast to talk about politics.
Yes. Yes. That will be one to look forward to.
I can't wait for the day that we all can sit in the same room and record this podcast, and then have tea and biscuits, and that will be fantastic.
Oh, it will. It will. And have you ever tried English tea, James? Like a
Oh
proper
yeah,
English tea?
I used to live there. I don't think I drank tea when I was there, but then I've been back a few times since. I don't drink coffee, and so when it gets cold outside and I want something to warm myself up, it's always tea. And so I've had a handful of good, proper British tea. But yeah, the tea here is, it's fine. It gets the job done, but it's not great.
Yeah. When we do this...
I'm a coffee person, and I was like this close to dying from British coffee. Like, I don't know what I drank, but basically it had so much caffeine in it, I nearly died. And I'm a person that can go and drink like 5 coffees plus a Red Bull plus 1 liter of Coke a day and still survive.
Yeah, we're not so good on the coffee front, us Brits, but the tea, yes. When we do this in person, I will prepare you both a lovely cup, a nice cuppa, as we would say. But yeah, nice cuppa. But yeah, where can the folks back at home find you guys?
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
yeah.
YouTube, at James Leithart, Leithart.
All of the socials at YouTube, Martin Ivanov. Everything else, Marto Ivanov 91.
Very good. And myself, it is at Cam Clark Spain on Instagram. I haven't been using it recently, but I will do stay in touch there. And on YouTube, it is youtube.com/Cameron Clark. You'll find me there. You can also get in touch with all of us all together. We do have the email. It is theexpatshow@mail.com. That's theexpatshow@mail.com. Get in touch with us there. Any questions? Maybe you have a reason why you wouldn't want to be an expat, or that's been making you not want to take the jump. Let us know. I'd be quite interested to hear your guys' stories as well.
Or on our Facebook page, The Expat Show.
Yes, the Expat Show on Facebook as well. Leave us a little message on there. Drop us a post on the wall. Let us know your stories as to why.
Comments, everything.
All the good stuff. If you're listening on iTunes, leave us a little review. Help us get up in the charts there, as well as wherever you're listening. There will be a description where you can find all of us, all of our links in that description, or the show notes, as some people like to call it. But yeah, I think that was a good little episode. Any final departing words from either of you both there?
No, I mean, the goods, for me, I think for all of us, the goods have outweighed the bad. So if you want to do it, take a calculate it, and then just take the leap. Do it.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, there would be definitely countries where the disadvantages would be a lot more. So just do your research prior.
Yeah. Make sure you know what you want to do, and then do it. Don't just jump in blindly. But yeah, that is it, folks. Until next week, where we will be talking about something. It's a mystery for now, so do stay tuned and jump in for that one. But yeah, adios, amigos.
Thank you.